Everyone, this is a quick review of one-sided limits. Okay, so one-sided limits, so let's consider the function f of x whose graph is shown below. Okay, what is the limit as x approaches 2? So if I'm looking at 2, here it is. And if we look to the right and from the left and from the right, we're approaching, that's just going to be 0. Oops, wow, hit the button there. Let me redo that, sorry. There we go. That's going to be 0. Okay, what is the limit as x approaches -1 of this function? Well, -1 is right here, so if I look at the graph, there we are right there. From the left and from the right, we're approaching 2. Now, what is the problem when you encounter when trying to find the limit as x approaches 1 from f of x? Now, you've already watched the limit introduction, so you should have the notation, which is shown below. But notice how from the left, we're way up here. And from the right, we're down here at 1. So which value is it? What's the problem? There's two different values. There's two different numbers we're approaching. Two different numbers, not hashtags, two different numbers. Okay, we are approaching, and I apologize, it's like the first video of the year and I haven't recorded in a while, so my handwriting's off. Not as good. So we're approaching. That's the issue. That's the problem. So then what happens? What happens when you approach two different values? Well, the big thing is the limit's not going to exist. Okay, the limit there does not exist because you're approaching two different values from the right and the left. Can't happen. So while two-sided limits may not exist, that means, like from here, these are two-sided limits, here and here. Those are two-sided limits. From the right and the left exist. So while the two-sided limit may not exist, the one-sided limit do exist or can exist. Here's the proper notation. So there's the limit notation as x approaches a. It's not negative a because it's in the superscript. So right-hand limits, there's a plus. Left-hand limits, there's a minus. So get to know those. From the minus sign, it's x approaches a from the left. The plus sign here represents x approaches a from the right. And they're going to have to put that in. So let's kind of look at finally an example of finding limits from a graph. So here's this beautiful limits from a graph. So here we go, piecewise functions, okay? Use the graph to find each of the following limits. So let's do it. So here is, see that big plus? That is a one-sided limit. So as x approaches 1 from the right. So here's 1. 1 from the right is right here. So here's from the right, and that's going to be, there's my arrow, that's going to be 1. Okay? The limit as x approaches -2 from the left. So here's -2. Left of -2 is this way. So we're going left of -2, which is here. That means -1. Okay? Here's a function value, f of 1. So here's 1. There's an open circle there, and there's no filled in dots anywhere. F of 1 does not exist. There's an open circle at 1. Okay? Let's look at the limit as x approaches 3 of this function. So here's 3, and this is what we call that two-sided limit. You got to look at both sides. Left and right is equal, and it's 1. Okay? Let's look at the limit as x approaches 2 from the left or from the right. So here's 2 right there. From the right is going to be 2. F of -2. So at -2, look, you have an open circle, open circle. Which one is it? Well, it's right there. There's f of -2 right there. Okay, so that's just 2. That's the function value, not the limit. The limit as x approaches -2. So as -2, well, here's -2 right here, and here's the right one. And from the left, notice they do not equal. So this limit does not exist. Okay? Although the individual one-sided limits exist, the limit does not exist there overall. The two-sided limit doesn't exist. That is a two-sided limit. These are one-sided limits. Okay, so here's a one-sided limit here. Limit as x approaches 1 from the left. Here's 1, 1 from the left right there, and it's also 1. Now notice, the limit as x approaches 1. Here's a two-sided limit. Well, 1 from the left and 1 from the right are the same. It's 1. That two-sided limit does exist. And let's look at the x approaches -2 from the right. Here's -2. -2 from the right is way up here, and that's 3. Okay, so those are quick examples of how to find the limits from a graph based on all our information. If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know, and we'll see you next time.